designating it as reserves, and then we're reversing that out to meet obligations. That's the best explanation.
Thank you, but that's the most counterintuitive answer I've heard in a while.
If anybody else has a comment? One, two, three. Anybody else? All right, thank you very much. I'm going to close this portion of the public hearing. And we've already done, we're going to go to our normal board meeting at this point in time. I'd also like to say that for the first time we've had the discussion about whether managers of Island Transit should be attending board meetings, and we all sort of looked at each other, Mr. Graska and myself, and said, I wonder why they haven't been able to. And so we have three of our key managers here that are sitting in and listening to what's going on. It's not like the board is a big mystery, and certainly is an open meeting for all people. So that's why they're here.
It's a wonderful change.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's healthy. The agenda is before you, and it's a full agenda. So, and I don't have any changes on it. If anybody has any comments, or I'd entertain a vote to approve the agenda.
So moved.
I second it.
Then moved and second to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much. We have our minutes from our last meeting of November 21st, which was a public hearing on the budget, and our regular business meeting. That is enclosed in your packet. Is there any changes or additions to that, or I'd entertain a motion to approve those minutes?
I had a question about them, and under the board discussion segment on page 2 of 4, there are bullets of the items that we discussed, but there's really no, say like other items of discussion, or they're just bullet points of the strategic recovery plan, the discussion about fares, and it's not really clear from the way that the minutes are proposed, but where those, they're not part of the board action.
No, they were just,
Above,
we
so-
just discussed it.
So could we, I would just suggest that for clarity, we might want to say other items discussed or something like that.
And give it a heading.
Well, they're just, well, yeah, I think you said, other items discussed, right?
Other discussion items, yeah.
Okay.
What-
Will you do that, Nate?
It's not a significant change to the minutes. I don't know that it needs to be formally amended, but I would just,
Yeah.
I'm happy to do that if we feel the need, but I just thought it, for clarity for the public about the meeting, that was one
It looks like it,
concern I had.
yeah, it looks like it may be part of the board action when it wasn't.
And we just discussed it.
There was actually a sixth item versus one.
Do you want to suggest that?
I'd have to go back and take a look at the past agenda. But yeah, there's a sixth item that we also discussed.
But-
Oh, I know what it was, and it was the
Timeline.
timeline for recruiting,
Yep.
and we did take an action. No, that's a bullet above it. See right above it, it said the board discussed the following, and
Okay.
That's
we're right there.
We're good.
So that was the action that we took, yeah.
Yeah.
But, oh, I see, so board discussed the following, and then there was action.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, as I'm reading it now, it makes more sense to me, I saw that separated, but,
I can make it more clear.
okay, just to insert that, other items discussed. Thank you, that was the only clarity. With that clarification, I'll move approval of the minutes.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes with the clarification added. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. In your canary, I don't know what color that is, yellow cover sheet, our monthly financial documentation, including voucher list, payroll report, cash summary report, wage grid, employee wage report. We've got a little bit of everything. We're still trying to supply the kinds of financial information that the board feels would be helpful in understanding where we are at any point in time. So, and this is something we have to approve. We have had financial committee evaluation of the voucher list. Is that correct?
That's correct. I'll just point out one of the interesting things that we are going to be following very closely is the total bill for fuel. Last month it was around $60,000 when you add it up from the different operating sections of Island Transit. In the budget we've estimated $3.50 a gallon for next year's fuel, but those of you that are refueling on a regular basis will realize right now fuel is under $3 a gallon, and if that continues through the first half of the year, we will see significant savings, because on a $60,000 a month average bill, we could save $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month on fuel alone if fuel prices continue to stay below $3. So that the budget overall, it was conservative in that regard. It took the average of the last 2 years' fuel costs, but there's hope for additional savings. Hope. And that's related to the voucher list, because one of the largest items that shows up on the voucher list is fuel.
Okay, I'm going to start asking questions. I'll start. Mayor Dudley, do you have any specific questions?
On the master voucher list?
Yeah, well, or any of these other documents, or?
Yeah, well, on the master voucher list, quick question on the Island County, the payment to Island County Equipment Rental and Recovery Fund. Can you walk me through the $13,387.41?
The fuel,
Yeah, it is.
the
Well,
fuel
that's
of
fuel.
Camino.
Main oil fuel.
As fuel for Canadian Island.
Which,
Logistic-wise, so we make a payment through Island County's Equipment Rental and Recovery Fund.
So I can speak to that. I mean, the way that our fuel depot is set up is through the ER&R fund at Island County. So before Island Transit had its own fueling station here, all the fuel was purchased through Island County's ER&R fund, but now it's just Camino that is still reliant on the fuel tanks that Island County has. And the facility here has their own, so it's just the Camino facility that still buys fuel through Island County.
Nice.
And
So they fuel up from an Island County fuel tank. We receive a monthly bill.
That's right, that's right.
Yeah.
Interlocal agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have any more comments? Anywhere, or?
I paid the most attention to fuel because I thought it's the area that we may be able to see some economies in the next year.
Okay.
But I did check through the other numbers, and they made sense.
Okay. I have done the same since I had to sign all the checks. I know where they came from and why.
I would just ask about trends in the expenses of facility expenses. We're coming into the winter season, and it's our second winter in this building. I know that there had been some vendor work that needed to be done just to adjust the controls last year, and I wanted to just find out if there were still some concerns about that, or have all those issues been resolved. I don't know.
As far as I know, that the heating, cooling systems, problems were resolved, and that, like, the warranty period has begun. That's the word that I've received.
Okay.
I don't, you know, and I know this Puget Sound Energy bill was made up of several accounts, but I remember that being up in this over $6,000, $6,500, $6,600. So I'm assuming we've gotten some of that all squared away, and some of the electricity we use, that's not all heating and air conditioning. I understand. We've got a lot of that under control.
Well, and
Yeah.
this facility was built to be very efficient.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we're able to recognize those savings now.
We have had some increased payments for our attorney. Thank you very much for that. And that's because we've had a significant number of public records requests and items that needed the
Also for the record,
perusal.
that was for 2 calendar months as well.
Yeah.
So.
So that's higher than normal. And we pay off with the auditor, state auditor. Our total auditor cost this year was $47,000. And they don't bill all at one time for some reason. We get these bills keep dribbling in. But that's the maximum amount of money that the auditor charged this year, which was over what they had told us it was going to be by a fair amount. And we did ask the question, why? I think even in the town of Cookville, our audit bill was higher than it has been in the past. And I don't know whether it was the fact that they changed to the Bellingham office and it's farther away from
Travel.
where it is, or travel was higher, so there's not much you can do about it in the first place.
Or, I have one other question, the wage grid for 2015, is that an action item?
No, it's just an informational item, and also, it's one of the things that we said we needed to have when we take a look at our budget, that we have actually looked at the wage grid and given, so we're knowledgeable about it. If you recall, the auditors wanted to make sure that we had access to that sort of material, and now we do.
There's been a number of improvements in the reports that we're receiving, which I very much
Yep.
appreciate.
The debt service payment, the $68,000 going to Whidbey Island Bank, is that specifically for the $850,000 loan? Okay. And the $850,000 is broken up into 2 payments, if I recall. One for $600,000 back in June, another $250,000 in January. But will the debt service payment change in January with the additional $250,000?
No, I think the payments are staying the same. I think that's the way it was worked out.
I think they both are being retired by the end of June.
We anticipate finishing this year with how much in cash?
At the end of this year?
Correct.
Well, the budget's showing, what, 924?
That includes the reserve.
And yeah, it's total cash.
So we end up finishing the year with $924,000 in reserves, but we still need to borrow another $250,000 in January.
No, it was
Well,
borrowed
not
last
additional.
year.
already did it.
So that's
that
already
was-
in process.
Yeah, we did it at once.
We borrowed $250,000 in January 2014. We're not. Of the
I'm not sure of the start date.
Yeah, the $850,000.
Includes that.
was 600,000 in June, and the other 250,000 was when?
It was in July, actually, of 2014, not January.
I don't know if you were on the board then, Mayor Dudley, but we initially discussed an $850,000 loan. We were going, that was one package, that we were going to split into two parts and take $500,000 at next point in time, and then in the fall, take the $250,000. We ended up taking all of it at once. And however, the loan is documented as in two parts, but we took it within, I don't know, 45 days of each other, I think. And we did that via a board meeting, so it's documented, so I can't remember exactly what
It was July.
it was.
That's why we'll pay it back by the 1st of July.
Anybody have anything else? Could somebody make a motion?
I move that we approve the December 2014 master voucher list as presented.
Then moved and second to approve the December 2014 master voucher list. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Excuse me.
No, unanimous. Thank you very much. And thank you, Paul, for the explanation and the continuing effort to put together some good stuff for us. I appreciate that. The next item is we do have a chance for audience input that is not part of the budget discussion. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to talk about? Yes.
Shelley Brunke Freeland. I went over the expenses for the State of Good repairs, and I've given you and also Scott Dudley, and you can pass it around to the other people on the at the table. But one of the things I gave you was a copy of the actual signed, electronically signed contract that we had with the Department of Transportation, indicating what specific earmarks were for certain items, such as information technology, which was $160,000, furnishings, which was in the amount of $215,000, and the itemization I've given you, which I've highlighted in yellow, shows specific to furnishings that we spent over $501,000 of these monies. And so I am going to be bringing that up with the federal government. I have a question for Mr. Hendricks. I was talking to you before the meeting, Mr. Clay, and you indicated that this was, we were compelled by law to use the Department of Corrections for furnishings. This is not a pass-through grant, nor is this a state grant. This is direct money from the federal government. Are we compelled to spend the money with the Department of Corrections locally?
I'd have to research that.
Thank you. I'll wait for your answer. Okay, so what we've done here is we've spent an enormous amount of money, and yes, we could pick things apart and we could say, well, that's not actually furnishings, it's this, or maybe this and this and this. But when you put on your expense report, furnishings, I think it is reasonable for the person looking at the report to assume that you mean the contracted definition of furnishings. I expected it to be an accurate representation. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you look at this, we can turn to different pages where it says furnishings and a dollar amount. Furnishings and a dollar amount. If it's not actually furnishings, could we get an updated expense report? Because right now I'm seeing $501,000 expended for furnishings. That includes with the Department of Corrections. And we were only earmarked for $215,000. I understand that other people are looking at information technology, and we are certainly well above that as well.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything they'd like to say?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
Gail Falco Kirk. For the board, I just wanted to bring up, after reading the some of the business items, just to make sure that you know what you're getting ready to sign. With the resolution 914, The resolution of Island Transit Board of Directors authorizing designation of signature authority for the Transportation Electronic Award Management System, the TEAM system. And you want to sign that over to Mr. Graska, the interim executive director. That PIN number from the resolution that this will cancel out, when Ms. Rose had the PIN number, she was able to certify that Island Transit's in compliance with the entire A133 circular on behalf of the board chair's signature and on behalf of the legal counsel. And that's what bit you guys in the butt here a couple months ago with the SAO. Is by giving away your authority and letting somebody else do it. And so signing over, allowing one person to have that PIN number back to the federal grant money, that needs to be monitored a little bit better. This is not in accordance with 133, not in accordance at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you for comments. I'm going to move on to the next item, which is the Chairman, Executive Director's Report. And I'm not going to assume that I'm both. What?
We actually adopt the budget.
This is item number one.
Oh, that's upcoming.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Got it.
You want to skip all the rest of this?
No. I just got confused by I didn't read the agenda in that way, yeah.
It's right at the bottom.
Yeah.
Again, we're happy to have a new interim executive director with us. I'm happy to see you here. I think the employees are also happy. Not that they hated me, but I think it's certainly does show some additional signs of stability for our organization. But I'd like to talk a little bit about maybe what I've been doing the last month or so, and so the board knows about it. One of the items that I'm responsible for was representation as the Regional Transportation Policy Organization member, and which I am. And we had a couple of meetings fortunately, our local RTPOs have some money that we've been able to pass out via grant request to various organizations in the region. And Island Transit was one of those organizations, and we've gone through a process the last couple of months of grading those requests and start the award process. And basically, for those of you that don't understand it, it is a little confusing process, but it starts at our local level. In Island County has an RTPO, which is composed of obviously Island County people and organizations. We also belong to a joint county RTPO, which is Skagit County. So Skagit and Island meet as an RTPO, which everybody is on one board, is on the other board also. And we put all of our projects together and rank those projects by importance and make awards. That money comes through the state. Depending upon what we're talking about, it could either be federal funds or state allocated funds. And so this month, for example, if I can find my paperwork here, we awarded some funds that I shouldn't start talking until I have it right smack in front of my face. There it is. And I can give you some examples of some things that we've done, and this is actually probably out a couple of years. In fact, it is 2015 through 2017. And we have some examples here of some money that has been approved at the joint Skagit Island County RTPO level. and it's Skagit Transit had actually 3 items, and one was expansion of a fixed route service between Cedar Lily and Burlington. They had another project for Americans with Disability Act announcement system, and they had another one about adding a mobility management specialist. And all of these items were put together under a program about human services, and there was money made available for specifically for areas that would improve human services transportation. Anyway, so Skagit was their funding request was in the neighborhood of $800,000, something like that, for those 3 items. Island Transit had let's see, 2 awards, and one was for 5 special kinds of vans, 5 to 7, 8 passenger, we call it cutaway vans, medium duty vans, and some replacement capital, painting some shelters, some bus surveillance systems, some tablets, communication site devices. Another one we had was to rebuild engines and an alignment machine for our shop here. We did put in another request, and then we withdrew it because of the matching dollar amount that we found out that would be required, and we decided that that's something that we couldn't fund at the present time. So those projects all have moved on. They've been graded and rated, and now they'll go to the state level, and everything gets thrown in a big pot, and the most important projects are awarded money. Usually, because of the way we go through our system and the amount of money that's can actually go to this particular area, we probably will get all of these projects between 2015 and 2017. So, and all of them that we applied for, we analyzed and made sure that we would be able to fund those if they have matching grants, and they all have matching grants. Anyway, so
Is the vans the ones that are due first?
no. Now this is in addition to what you've seen here, because this we've already.
It's
this
not-
is sure
Yeah.
in the budget.
Yeah.
This is yet to be done.
This is asked for.
Yeah,
Has been out.
yeah. Hasn't been done.
Okay, so if we're awarded those, that would be extra that would be like a budget amendment next year coming into.
And the other item that we did last Friday, I attended what is known as the Farmhouse Gang Meeting, and this is a group of people from 4 or 5 county area that used to meet at the farmhouse on Highway 20. All of the people that are involved in this are interested in transportation, all various kinds of transportation, not just bus transportation, but rail, highway, aircraft in some cases, rapid transit as it may pertain to light rail projects. And this year, the emphasis has going to be talking to our legislators about our Tri-County Connector Program. And all of us realize how important that is. The legislature, to go back a ways, started funding this several years ago, and Island Transit was one of the originators of this concept, and has been an active participant, and our part of it has been service from this island, Whidbey Island, to Mount Vernon, and from Camano Island to Mount Vernon, and also from Camano Island to Everett. That money was initiated, I guess, with the concept that it was temporary in a sort of a a demonstration kind of a project about how important it was. Well, that temporary started in 2005, so it's been temporary kind of permanent since then. Unfortunately, the money has run out, and the state has not seen fit to fund any of it anymore. And quite frankly, for Island Transit to fund it entirely ourselves is not possible. It is way too much money. So we're trying to work on some way to have all three transit systems, Island Transit, Skagit, and Watcom Transit, work together to provide some level of service where we all can provide interconnectability between our transit systems. And so we put together a piece of literature, kind of a neat thing, talks about the history of this project, its benefits, how many people it serves, how many cars it takes off the road, reduction in carbon, sort of mimics what the governor has just been talking about lately. And how important it is, and some costs are involved. And this is what we are all going to use when we're talking to our legislators about what's important as far as transportation is concerned for the next year and the next coming years. We did have, at our last meeting on Friday, we did have 4 legislators there from Washington State. And each of them heard this presentation about this from the three transit agencies, including myself. And we also had 2 representatives from federal elected officials, and they got to hear it also. Anyway, so that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be pushing this project. It's, as you heard in the budget, at the end of June, our part of it is going to cease. That's what the plan is right at the moment. But I'm bound determined to find some way to provide some level of service for riders that are going at least between Oak Harbor and Mount Vernon, some way to connect up.
Have a match.
Anyway, so it's a good project. Everybody is in accord with this. You've got 3 transit agencies that are all working together to see if they can't figure out a way to do this that we can all afford. And we're in this, you know, they're in the same boat as we are. It's a costly proposition. Another item is I don't know if you've heard about this yet, but Island Transit has I don't know what the term is. We are an outside union, amalgamated transit union, has made application to represent a certain portion of employees of Island Transit, basically